Who is the strongest Hokage? In seventh place, we have my favorite character on the list, my favorite character in the show, and my favorite character in all of anime, Kakashi. Or, as people know him, the copycat ninja, was the sixth Hokage. He is known for being a child prodigy. He became a Jonin and an Anbu member at an extremely young age, and even earned himself the reputation of a war hero at the age of 12. Despite having an aversion to responsibility, his natural talent and leadership abilities led him to become the natural successor to Tsunade. Let's take a look at some of his abilities and his feats. Kakashi invented the move called Chidori, which was basically an electric piercing move. This evolved into a stronger and more potent version called Raikiri. Kakashi had pretty decent taijutsu as well, as we saw throughout the story against Zabuza, Kakuzu, and Hidan. Shisui's famed body flicker technique was not too unique to Shisui, because Kakashi could use it too. That is not his only speed feat though. The high-speed nature of Chidori, or Raikiri, allowed Kakashi to close gaps and attack his enemies quickly. And then I don't know if this really counts as a speed feat, but Kamui pretty much gave him the ability to use warp speed. I guess it'll be more of a speed feat for Obito. But DMS Kakashi temporarily could do that. Kakashi is also mad intelligent, being compared to the likes of Shikamaru. He was an extremely quick learner. Besides learning the 1000 techniques he apparently learned and used 5 of throughout the entire story, in under a minute of receiving his DMS, he was able to perfectly use Susanoo and invent 2 moves with it, namely the Kamui Raikiri and the Kamui Shuriken. So yeah, he's insane and somehow only 7th on the list. In 6th place, we have the unluckiest person in the world, Tsunade. Sorry, Lady Tsunade. Let's put some respect on her name. Tsunade Senju was the 5th Hokage of the Hidden Leaf, and was also 1/3 of the legendary Sannin. She is hailed as the most potent kunoichi and most exceptional medical shinobi of her time, or her era, should I say. She is a bit of a cheat code. She descended from both the Senju and Uzumaki clans, so she has huge chakra reserves. Thanks to those reserves and her mastery of medical ninjutsu and normal ninjutsu, she was pivotal in Konoha's victory in the Second Shinobi World War. Some of her feats and abilities: her mitotic regeneration was a medical ninjutsu technique that traded her life force for cellular regeneration, which led to boosted durability. This was showcased when she fought Orochimaru and Kabuto. Heavenly Spearfoot is a technique that she used in the 4th Great Shinobi World War against Madara. It was so powerful, it shattered the rib cage of his Susanoo. Tsunade's forehead seal, the 100 seals, stores chakra over years and enhances her physical prowess. Throughout the story, she used this technique to overcome super formidable opponents. She was pretty good at taijutsu, and when paired with her chakra enhanced strength, she could hit really fucking hard. Classic Kishimoto giving his female characters the punching power of prime Francis Ngannou. Remember how I mentioned Shisui not being unique and using the body flicker? Tsunade could use it as well. Tsunade was extremely intelligent, as we saw throughout the show with her medical ninjutsu and her ability to create antidotes on the fly, specifically against Granny Chio. She was also a very good leader when it came to crisis. She had a lot of shit happen to her during her tenure as Hokage, and I think she handled it pretty well. And yeah, she is a very respectable 6th place on the list. In 5th place, we have the Yellow Flash of the Leaf, the 4th Hokage, Minato Namikaze. Minato played an extremely vital role in ending the 3rd Shinobi World War. He is recognized as one of the most powerful shinobi to ever live, and is somehow only 5th on this list. Despite having an extremely short reign as Hokage, he still has a lot of feats and a very profound impact on the ninja world. And speaking of those feats, let's take a look at them. He created the Rasengan, which I'm not going to explain because it's probably the technique we've seen the most in the show. He mastered Flying Raijin, and although he did not create it, he did take it to another level. Minato had pretty exceptional hand-to-hand combat abilities, or taijutsu abilities. Obviously, he had insane speed feats. He was extremely intelligent, like I mentioned. He created the Rasengan, which was a very difficult move to learn, let alone create. That, paired with his mastery of Flying Raijin, reflects his high level of intelligence and his understanding of ninjutsu. And similar to Tsunade, when hit by a crisis, he was a very level-headed thinker and did well under pressure. Overall, his speed, intelligence, combat versatility land him at 5th place. Now, the next two I spent way too long trying to differentiate between, or to pick an order between. And this is the order I settled on. In 4th place, we have the deadbeat grandpa, the 3rd Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi. Hiruzen, the 3rd Hokage, was the longest serving Hokage, and that's partly why I struggled to put him this low, because bro was doing it till he was in his 80s. He received training from 2 people above him on this list, Hashirama and Tobirama Senju, and they were both really impressed with him because he was basically a prodigy. Not only was he mentored by some great shinobi, he also mentored some great shinobi, i.e. Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Orochimaru. He earned the nickname the God of Shinobi, which was another reason I struggled to put him this low on the list. And he was also called the Professor, which is kind of sick. The reason he got that name is he pretty much mastered all forms of jutsu and combat. He could use every single elemental release. And even in his old age, in his 80s, we saw he put up a fight against arguably weaker versions of the 1st and 2nd Hokage and Orochimaru. A pretty tough 3v1 that he duked out right till the end. I know I mentioned a lot of shit he had going for him, but let's look at some of his feats. Being a member of the Sarutobi clan meant he was fucking dangerous when it came to fire release, because the Sarutobi clan has devastating fire release jutsus and abilities. He had one of the coolest summons in the story, the Monkey King Enma, and as we saw against Orochimaru, using Enma is very effective. He also managed to seal away the reincarnated versions of the 1st and 2nd Hokage to prevent Orochimaru from exploiting them again. He had insane taijutsu capabilities, even as an old man, when he should have been on his deathbed or at least chilling. He had insane reaction speeds, and as I mentioned, bro was mad intelligent. That's why they called him the Professor. And this is controversial. I think he was a good Hokage and probably had the most to deal with due to just how long his reign was. So he had wars, he had tons of skirmishes and missions to be in charge of, way more than anyone else, and I think he did well. Konoha was thriving during his reign, but somehow I could not put him 3rd, just because of what this next guy achieved. In 2nd place, we have everybody's favorite racist. I don't think you can say that, but I don't really think he was racist either. So, Tobirama. Tobirama was the 2nd Hokage after his brother Hashirama. Tobirama was not as powerful as his brother, but I believe he was definitely smarter. Many shinobi feared him due to his tactical brilliance, his political acumen, and his strength. I said he wasn't as strong as Hashirama, but he was still really fucking strong. During his tenure as Hokage, he stabilized the village and implemented so many things, like the Ninja Academy, the police force. Let's take a look at some of the feats and some of the ninjutsu he created. He was extremely proficient in water release techniques, notably Water Dragon Bullet technique, which many shinobi had the unfortunate opportunity to encounter. Remember Minato's Flying Raijin I kept talking about? Tobirama invented that. You know Naruto's Shadow Clones? His favorite technique? Tobirama invented that. Flying Raijin was invented to counter the Uchiha's precognition. All his water-style ninjutsu techniques that he created were to counter the Uchiha's fire release. The Shadow Clones were invented to counter Uchiha Genjutsu. And then the most fucked up one, he created Edo Tensei, which is the reincarnation technique. He invented that to revive dead Uchiha and use them in kamikaze attacks. So yeah, that's interesting. But also really fucking cool because the Uchiha had broken abilities from the get-go. So good on Tobirama. Yeah, I think I pretty much covered all of his feats. He had an insane tenure as Hokage. Not that long, but he probably did the most for the village in such a short period of time. He really modernized it and made it what it is, even to this current day. In second place, we have the man with the massive wood. Sorry, what was that? The man with wood style, Hashirama. Hashirama Senju was the founder of the Hidden Leaf Village and also played a pivotal role in shaping the ninja village system. Just like Hiruzen, he was hailed as the god of shinobi, the true god of shinobi, as he was first. He was also a reincarnation of Asura Otsutsuki. I want to say the first reincarnation, but I could be wrong. His exceptional life force, just like his granddaughter Tsunade, paired with his wood release, put him on legendary status in the ninja world. Let's look at some of his feats and abilities. He is one of the only people we see who can use wood release naturally. Orochimaru spent years and sacrificed many a child to be able to give someone the ability to use wood release, i.e. Yamato. A few of his wood release techniques were the Great Forest technique, which rapidly grew an entire forest on the battlefield that he could manipulate and use offensively and defensively, like we saw against Madara. He also could pair his wood release with Sage Art to use the Thousand Hands technique, which, as we saw, was extremely effective against the Nine Tails. And he could use the wood release technique Wood Dragon, which was powerful enough to restrain the Nine Tails. Just like almost everyone else on this list, he had insane hand-to-hand combat abilities. Probably one of the best on the list, actually. Hashirama was also extremely dominant to the point that he captured all but one of the tailed beasts and sold them to other hidden villagers. For intelligence feats, they don't really come close to his brothers, but he still got some. Like I mentioned, he was the founder of the Hidden Leaf Village and pivotal in creating the ninja village system. And he also organized a peace treaty with the Uchiha clan by negotiating with Madara Uchiha, which contributed to the stability of the Hidden Leaf Village, even though Madara did end up defecting and disobeying the peace treaty. Overall was fairly successful. Yeah. And I think up until towards the end of the show, the God of Shinobi would have been number one on this list. But he isn't, because of someone the show or the story is named after. In first place is Naruto. Obviously. Naruto is the 7th Hokage and the most powerful one we've ever had. He has surpassed every single person who held the title before him. Just like Hashirama, he is a reincarnation of Asura Otsutsuki. And then on top of that, he also has the Nine Tails inside of him. So he was destined for greatness from day one. But as a kid, he didn't seem that way. And he was not exceptional in any way whatsoever. He was the most the most below average student you have ever seen. But as he grew older, that started to change. And now let's take a look at what changed. His feats and his abilities. He managed to learn the Rasengan with much pain and suffering. But then he evolved it in a way we've never seen before and created the Rasen Shuriken, which, as we saw against Kakuzu, was very effective and powerful. When possessing the Sage of Six Parts power, he was able to create the Ultra Big Ball Rasengan. Great name. The Ultra Big Ball Rasengan had extreme destructive power. And then personally for me, his coolest Rasengans were the ones paired with all the different tailed beasts' abilities. Thanks to the Nine Tails Kurama, Naruto had a shit ton of different power levels and forms that he could use, and I'm going to rattle them off real quick. He had his initial Jinchuriki stage, then he had the Demon Fox Cloak, then he had the Four Tails version, then the Six Tails version, then the Eight Tails partial transformation, then he had Nine Tails Chakra mode, then Kurama mode, then he had Sage of Six Parts mode that was combined with Kurama mode, then he had a full-on Tail Beast mode, and then Baryon mode. Holy shit, that was a lot. Naruto has way too many other feats and abilities to rattle off about, and I feel like this video is long enough. And if you're watching this video, you obviously saw all of those techniques, so I'm not going to delve any further. Unless you want me to, let me know in the comments. I'll make a way more in-depth video about Naruto's abilities. Thank you so much for watching. Do you think I got the order right? If you didn't, let me know in the comments. If you did, also let me know in the comments. Let me know your order, and I'll see you next week. Peace.